an American comic book in 1941. It tells the story of a fictional young man, Steve Rogers from New York, who's desperate to enlist in the army so he can fight the Nazis in World War II. But recruiters keep rejecting him because he's such a weakling. Steve Rogers ends up becoming a participant in a super-secret government program designed to create a super soldier. He's administered a special serum and transformed into a nearly perfect human specimen. To gain some level-headed insight into this movie, Talking Movies consulted comic book fan and film critic Matt Singer, who explains what happens after scrawny Steve Rogers has been physically changed.
Well, that's when he becomes Captain America, the Sentinel of Liberty, the symbol of American freedom throughout the world, and he heads off to Europe to fight in World War II, or a comic booky version of World War II, against the Red Skull, who is this evil, formerly Nazi scientist who is intent on world domination.
What about the politics as they're kind of vented in this film? They're pretty non-existent. It's pretty vanilla in a way, because when Captain America was created, it was a character who was done in very ideological terms during World War II.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's a World War II stripped of any sort of, like, real-world relevance. The word Nazi is sort of very quickly tossed aside for this group called Hydra, who are supposed to be the Nazi science division. These villains, these Hydra guys, they don't look like Germans or Russians or the Axis. They could be anyone, so they're easy to villainize without having to worry about selling this in any place in the world where that might be a little sensitive to, you know, accusing people of villainy.
How do you rate the film in terms of overall entertainment? Because I found it a bit bland, lacking in flair in a way.
You know, I found it to be a fairly entertaining comic book movie. I thought Chris Evans was a really great hero. You know, he was a fun lead. He really portrayed all the good attributes of this character. And I just really enjoyed his journey. Is it bland? Yes, by design. I think it is kind of bland. But again, I think that's what it's supposed to be. I think it was made to be sort of a Hollywood summer action movie that kids could enjoy, that would appeal to a wide audience. And when you make a movie that's for that wide of an audience, you sometimes have to broaden the appeal by chopping off some of the more interesting elements.
Grenade! The film is a forerunner of the big Avengers movie next year, when all these different Marvel comic book characters are going to be brought into one movie, including Captain America. You could therefore say, if you're a very cynical person, that this is just one gigantic promotional trailer, a big tease for that film.
Well, I think the way to look at it is more that Marvel is basically making movies the way they make comic books, which is to use this almost addictive model where each piece leads into the next piece. Comic book stories never end. They always are setting up the next comic book. So that's the way Marvel is making their movies, just like they make their comic books.
It's probably fair to say that Brendan Gleeson is an underappreciated talent. The Harry Potter pictures have given him a profile, but for international audiences, he isn't exactly a household name. But over the last couple of decades, he's grown to become one of Ireland's most cherished character actors. Al Maloney has been to meet him to find out about his latest picture called The Guard, in which he plays a thoroughly unconventional Irish police officer.
Jerry Boyle is a hard-drinking, drug-taking, politically incorrect racist. He also happens to be the local policeman, or guard, of a small town in the west of Ireland. Played by Brendan Gleeson, Boyle is a man with his own moral code, happy to cruise through life doing the minimum of work, with a maximum amount of scorn for those around him.
If we were back in Atlanta... We're not back in Atlanta, though, I reckon. If we were back in Atlanta, you would be busted. Galway. You'd be giving out tickets to jaywalkers.
Galway. That's it, Boyle.
The film's writer, John Michael McDonagh, makes his directorial debut with the piece. Gleeson worked with his brother Martin on the Oscar-nominated comedy drama In Bruges. And while the family comparison may be an easy one to make, it's clear that The Guard comes from similar DNA. One that displays a love of wit, the spoken word, and a darkly comic sense of humour.
Because you're a psychopath.
I'm a sociopath, not a psychopath. They explained that to me in Mountjoy.
What's the difference?
Dunno. It's a tricky one.
Did you see the script and just say, you know, fantastic?
Yes. As soon as I came to the end, I said yes. And you kind of have to do that because I've read, you know, not all the time, but every so often you get scripts that work wonderfully well until 2/3 the way in. But with this, there's mounting excitement, and then there's kind of slight fear of it all crashing and burning. And then, but I came to the end. I said, just that's the script. That's it.
Sergeant Boyle's existence is upset when Don Cheadle's FBI agent is sent from America, chasing $500 million worth of cocaine, and a dead body is found in the town. Reluctantly and against his better judgment, he's drawn into an international drug smuggling case, when all he'd rather do is look after his mother or visit the local escort service. It's a black comedy that delights in creating a rich assortment of oddball characters and placing them within the confines of a modern Irish Western, a mismatched buddy cop movie that subverts the cliches of the genre. Cheadle plays the role of the fish-out-of-water straight man, and he and Gleeson have a fantastic rapport throughout. It's his understated nature that allows Gleeson to go the extra mile in making Jerry Boyle a complex and memorable character.
I think that character has appeared anywhere really. You kind of think about, maybe True Grit or something, you'd see somebody as irascible as that, but not quite. It's like, I think he's a once-off actually, Jerry Boyle, in a very particular way, just in movies generally.
With a dark sense of humour that constantly teeters on the edge, The Guard may be a tough sell as a mainstream box office draw. It's the type of film that often gets made because of the love of the material by those involved, rather than the projected box office return.
Anything that has a different take on anything is hard. But independent filmmakers and real proper storytelling and smaller films are under a lot of pressure. So it's really important that when a script like this comes along, first of all you get it made when it should be made, pretty quickly. And then it gets out there. And you just hope for the best.
It's a film that's made on its own terms, never afraid to cause offence or take risks with its characters. And while the larger-than-life personalities and clever wordplay may sometimes dominate the actual plot, it offers a unique, often hilarious and irreverent view of Ireland in the 21st century, which, let's face it, is never a bad thing.
I'm Irish, sir. Racism is part of my culture.
5 years ago, British actress Rachel Weisz won an Oscar for her role in The Constant Gardener, in which she played a human rights activist up against a pharmaceutical company engaged in wrongdoing.
You've been hired to represent the U.S. as a beacon of hope.
Now she's taken on a somewhat similar role with a picture called The Whistleblower, inspired by real-life events. She plays a cop from Nebraska, Kathy Bolkovac, who takes a job as a peacekeeper in post-war Bosnia.
The thing is, I found padlock rooms, young women's passports, and there was a lot of U.S. currency.
Where are we going, Columbo?
Bolkovac uncovers a hidden world of sex trafficking involving young girls, enslaved and exploited. Crimes committed or enabled by men within her own ranks, sent to Bosnia to maintain peace and order.
I don't want a scandal, I'm just doing my job.
Well, I know, but it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about you.
I'm interested in playing characters, in this case it's, the story of an ordinary woman who does an extraordinary thing. That's very interesting to me. The genre of a thriller, like something like Erin Brockovich. So it's an ordinary woman, a mom who, David and Goliath style, goes up against a huge corporation or an organization and uncovers wrongdoing. That really interests me, just because it's more interesting than ordinary life.
The film has been embraced by some human rights film festivals, and it does shed a light on a very harrowing aspect of reality. But how do you prevent a film like this from becoming an agenda movie, which might turn audiences off?
I don't think it is an agenda movie, it's not a documentary. I think the genre that it firmly falls into is a thriller. It's a thriller about a woman, and as she discovers the layers of deceit and deception, so do the audience. They go along with it's about a character. It's about Kathy Bolkovac, so it's a character-based thriller. It's not in any way an agenda movie. It happens to shed light on. It's not about a fictional situation, it's about a situation that's actually happening. So to me that makes it only more interesting, that it's a thriller that's shedding light on something that's true.
As you say, it is an entertainment, it is a thriller, but can it actually help the real-life victims of human trafficking?
I really don't know the answer to that question, and I'm not trying to be like falsely innocent about this. I really don't see that as part of my job in any way. I do roles that I find fascinating and interesting, and characters that I want to embody and get in their skin. Whether something affects change or not is just outside of my job description. If it inspires people, that's a wonderful thing. Inspiration is a good thing.
This involves all kinds of internationals, from military officers to diplomats. I thought I was only going after one guy.
You're a very skilled, very accomplished actress, but you are getting older. None of us can escape the fact that we are getting older. How much do you think...
Do I have a secret to eternal life?
No,
I don't.
No, I'm not really asking you that.
No.
But how much does it go through your mind about maintaining currency as an actress? Do you think about that at all?
I don't know how to maintain currency. I don't know. I just keep acting. I just do jobs that I'm interested in. I don't know about I don't know how to maintain currency. That was up to everyone else, I guess.
Coming up in Talking Movies, leading Chinese filmmaker Tsui Hark on his latest picture, and why Hollywood director Chris Weitz decided to make a film on the plight of a Mexican immigrant in Los Angeles.